Pittsburgh Steeler fans, welcome to this week's episode of Steelers Touch Down Under. I'm Matt Peverell, joined by my co-host as always, Marky Davison. How you going, mate?
Yeah, good, Matty. What's going on? How are we? How's thing down under? Well, actually, I'm down under too. I'm making it sound like I'm overseas. No, I'm doing pretty good. You know, the Steelers are 3-3. We had a well-earned bye, which is really I think was probably the best timing to have the bye. This year, get our players back. The injury report looks pretty good for us heading into this game too. So I think overall, I'm pretty keen, and I know you're keen too to verse these Brownies. And this is a big game. It's not, a game where we have to win it, but it would be nice just to knock off the Browns and become 4-3 and then really start to get the season going. It's almost like a new season, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, it's kind of like an Elijah Pritchard in the live chat. It's like, mate, J-Devils first in as always. Well, in the last few weeks, definitely he has been. But yeah, it kind of is like a new season, Mark, because like when you think about it, they're 3-3, so it's like starting off on a nil record, and sort of bit of a rebirth, if you like, for the season. You're getting a few guys back. It definitely feels like a bit of a new beginning. I think the only thing that, draws back to those 6 games is obviously there's the strengths of schedules. You've also got, the fact that we lost against the Bengals. That hurts us when it comes to the AFC North. So really, it does feel new, but there's a little bit that we've got to think about, from the previous few weeks. But as some of the live people saying in the live chat as well, it's going to be a massive win if the Steelers can pull this off. As you said, we had to battle through, a tough bye week. I think for a lot of people, no football. But it was funny. I was playing some Madden yesterday, and it is what that is what it is. But in that, I'm currently in season 2023, and I've got a bye week in week 14. And I was sitting there, but I was sitting there going, oh man, that's not really that helpful for me. Like, I don't have anyone with long-term injuries. It's not that helpful for me, right? And so it made me think, in all seriousness, it made me think about this week. And I thought, well, hang on, week 7, you come through the preseason, you got the bye week now before it starts. You have the early, there's always early season injuries. You know what? Maybe I know we sort of slammed it after last year when we missed the bye and we didn't want another early bye. But it might actually be the best thing for this team. It might actually be the best thing for this team. And when you think about, they're now going to play, 11 games plus the playoffs. It's kind of like playing, there's like 14 or 15 games now if you're going to make the Super Bowl. You just do that in a run now. I don't think it's as difficult as what I think we all overhype the fact that you have an early bye is what I want to say. Because if we had a late bye, I don't think we'd be thrilled about that either.
Yeah, I think we just overhype a lot of things, no matter what. And I know we're going to get into the Ingram conversation and things like that. But I think with social media these days and everyone using it, and we're all over voicing opinions, I just think no matter what happens, you could have had the bye at week 14 like your Madden team, and there still would have been speculation of what to do and how to do it. But I don't say we didn't win the bye. I think everyone wins the bye. And I also, and speaking of the bye, there's only one team I think who would try and put points on the bye would be the Ravens, as they try and score on everybody. But I think our Steelers, it's a perfect time. We're almost halfway through the season, really. Like we've got the Browns game coming up, and then we have the Bears and Lions. Bears on Monday Night Football. It's starting to get into tomorrow's November. It's when you and I start growing our mows for November.
We do. We start the mows.
I'm gonna do it this year. I was thinking about when I woke up this morning. I do. You do it. Just do it all year. It's getting down.
I'm allowed. When I'm a silver fox, then I'm allowed. Then I can be like Sam Elliott.
But it's getting down to the business of like. I think the funniest point was losing those 3 games in a row. That was it 3? And then we were like, did we give up on the season? Or a lot of fake fans out there, and I'm calling you out because a lot of you would give up. Not the guys in our live chat or who are here listening on audio, but a lot of fans in Facebook land were giving up on the Steelers. They lost 3. but it's such a long season to go. So this Browns game is really important. But I think it's more important, not the timing, but who we're versing, because you don't want to go 0-2 in the division.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it, right? And now we need the Bengals to continue their hot run. I'll tell you what, the bet that I put on at the start of the season for it to be Steelers top of the AFC North, followed by the Bengals, followed by the Ravens and the Browns, is looking pretty sweet about now. So what I wanted to say about the bye, just from a general NFL perspective, is you can't sit there and tell me 17 games with one bye, 3 preseason games. Can we just get to 2 preseason games plus the Hall of Fame game, the bye, and then have an 18-game schedule, 9 weeks and 2 byes, and then go into the playoffs and have like an 18 playoff, not 17 playoffs. Like I just, this is getting, and then where you get like a second chance, like, you know, what we have in some of the Australian different leagues, like, and even if you don't, even if you can stick with the 7 teams in the playoffs, this 17 games is a weird, it's odd number. I don't like it. You know, I'm not a fan.
I agree with you. And I actually brought this up on one of Dave's shows when I was in the live chat. Why don't they do this? And they probably won't, but I reckon it's a pretty good idea. Why don't 1 week, say during week 8 and week 9, right? Week 8, you have all the AFC teams play and you rest all the NFC teams. And then week 9, you play all the NFC teams and you rest all the AFC. So you create that rivalry, competitive division games. Now, I don't know how that could work, but that to me would say, why don't you rest half the league, 16 take off, and then 16 play? But then a lot of like money and TV and all that.
But even if you had like, because obviously, you know, you got to think about the TV deals. Even if you had like NFC East, AFC West, right? AFC North, you know, NFC South, and you did it that way. So you did it like what you're saying, but you basically split it halfway between both leagues. So you do it geographically, and you keep fans of each, you know, conference, if you like, you know, interested in what's happening. I don't know. Like it just seems like, again, the bye just made me think about 17 games, 1 bye, 3 preseason games. It's all a bit odd. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, it's going to go that way where they end up having 2 preseason games, and it will go to 18. And when it goes to 18, you have to have 2 byes, because how do you have a bye in week 4 and then play the rest of the season? It just wouldn't. It's just not cricket. It wouldn't happen. But I think for our Steelers 3-3, it's no better time than to come out and everyone's pretty much healthy. TJ's getting healthy. They just got to go out and play competitively and start to win, really. Now, if they come out flat and lame and terrible, then we have questions to ask, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Now, look, let's go to the news of the week. I think, you know, there's 2 pieces. Mike Tomlin's press conference. How good was that? I think Elijah Pritchard said it. Never say never, but never. I mean, Come on. Like, Tomlin's right? There's like, you know, even if it's not, you know, obviously everyone here, we all would think it's the best, you know, job in all of professional sport. But even if you think about it as one of the best jobs in the NFL only, and you pick 5 of the best jobs in the NFL, 5 in the English Premier League and in Major League Baseball and in the NBA and hockey, and, you know, we'd probably say one of the rugby sports down here, whatever it is, like, why would Tomlin care? Like, also the money he's making as well. Like, he's on plus $7 million a year. Like, why would he care? Why would he uproot his family? Like, he's also got, you know, kids playing, you know, college football a couple of hours away. Why would he fly to the other side of the country? Why would he spend time trying to convince teenagers to come play with him? Like, and it's as Jeffrey said as well on that epic rant. Like, I mean, and, you know, I have some epic rants on this show, but like, my gosh. But also, but why would Tomlin try and convince teenagers of this message when his message resonates in the NFL with like actual adults? Like, I don't understand. I don't get it.
We should we should share a link and just, you know, put Jeff in my corner and just play his video again, because that was brilliant. He went on for about 7 minutes and he was exactly right. Everyone, go listen to Jeff again. Look, when Tomlin came out and said those, you know, never say never, but never, like, that's just saying to you pretty much, stop asking me these questions, man. Like I am the Pittsburgh Steelers coach. I'm here to coach football. I'm a really good coach. Like, he must be seeing the messages from like fire Tomlin, this and that, and like why even ask Coach Tomlin during this season as well? We've got a job to do. We got the Steelers to get ready. We got to go out and play some AFC North football. And then it was funny, the press conference, I think yesterday was like only 2 minutes. Like, no one asked him any questions. Like, they were too scared to. And it wasn't the reporter's like fault, I guess. It was just the news going around. Will he go coach in the college football? But he's so distinguished anyway as an NFL coach. And I'm going to put it out there right now. I'm so done. I'm calling everyone out. The people who say fire Tomlin and every time he loses, I'm done with you. I'm far beyond done with those people, because it's an ebb and flow season of the roller coaster. Well, that's it. Well, I'm done with them.
So Owen David, points out one of the things that, I really like that Tomlin said is there's a booster there's not a booster with a big enough blank check. Like, that tells you everything you need to know. Tomlin doesn't want to be answerable to anyone. And like the Brownies give him, enough room to be able to do things the right way, give the head coach respect, give him a chance to actually work his magic. So I think that's number one. Belichick as well is someone that, like, I would think that he would love the way that he does the Patriot way. Why isn't Belichick getting asked this question? He would work. I'm sure he'd work fine just in college, in convincing these. I mean, I don't think he'd work now with the way people are versus, what he would work, 10, 5, 10, 20 years ago, what have you. But I don't understand why Tomlin is the one that gets asked this stuff. I know the rumor was spread about him, but I don't understand it. I think it's a load of crap. And also, if you look at when Carson Palmer brought it up, I think he brought it up on Pat McAfee's show maybe, or whichever show he brought it up on with Carson Palmer, he kind of almost winked and smirked as he said it. Like, it was almost as he was saying it as a joke.
Oh.
Like, so I just think this is a little bit ridiculous. And as for the fire Tomlin stuff, I said in our Slack channel recently, right? I don't know how many of our listeners know, a hell of a lot about the Premier League or what have you, but you can go have a look at this. Like, I always compare this because I'm an Arsenal fan in the Premier League. They had a coach, Arsene Wenger, who they had for 20 years. They made the Champions League every year, which is a top 4 finish in the Premier League, right? But 17 years they make it. They miss out because they didn't spend money on their players, and it's like having all your money tied up in Big Ben and AB. And he had to do that because he couldn't spend money on players because they had to pay off the stadium. There's no salary cap in that sport, but Arsenal basically instilled an internal team salary cap. Everyone was like, fire Wenger. Well, now Arsenal are a mid-table team, right? They're like lucky to get a 500 record the last 2 seasons. So I always think if you're going to fire a coach, who are you going to go get that's better than them? And I don't think anyone, I don't think our live chat would. You can't name a coach right now in the NFL that's not already a head coach that's better than Tomlin. And even if they're head coaches, who are you going to put in there? Who are you going to put in there?
It's the same too with I was in that, the YouTube land and looking through some comments of I think it was Pat McAfee's video, and there was one bloke said there, he's done nothing in the postseason. And I wrote back, mate, he's won a Super Bowl. Like some of these fans.
He has more. It's like the Larry Fitzgerald one where he's got more tackles than he has drops. Right? Mike Tomlin has more Super Bowls than he has losing seasons.
Yeah, there you go. And the funny thing is, and then his response to whoever this bloke was in YouTube land, he said, "Well, this one irks me so much, and I don't think we can air our grievances here. They were Bill Cowher's players." Like, how does that? Like, I understand what he's trying to say, but Mike Tomlin was the leader of that football team. He's getting no credit. I think that's when he came out of this press conference. He's getting no credit for anything, and that's why, in the way that he did, never say never, but never, and the booster check and all these things.
But how do you? I don't know how you can say that though. As well, are they anyone's players? Aren't they Kevin Colbert's players? He picked them. The scouting department,
I don't know.
They did the evaluation on them. Art Rooney, they paid for them. Whose players are they?
Look, it's just something that they're not, honestly, a lot of the guys in the NFL, and look, there's so many fans around the world, and there's, maybe different levels of education to be a fan, and not saying that you and I are the smartest. I can obviously, I stuff a lot of things up. But what I'm saying is you have to give credit to Tomlin, and you can't take it away for what he's done. He's never had a losing season. But we wasted AB, we wasted Bell. Do you want to be like the Lions? Do you want to be 0-7 every year or the way that we are? We're 3-3. Don't stress. Everything's fine. And it really irks me up with a team that we love and support and try and cheer on and analyze and stuff like that. Tomlin's done nothing. He's never had a losing season. He's one of the best coaches out there we've ever had. He's not really in the public eye too much. He gives the reporters and us, the media, nothing to really play with until now, which was one of the best clips I've ever heard of. And he's so passionate to play his game, and he loves the game. So why do they always try and pick on him or say he's terrible? He's not a coach. He's none of this. I don't get it. I don't understand. Not every team can win a Super Bowl every single year, and right now there are 12 teams that still haven't won one. So lay off everyone else. Tomlin is good. He's a good coach. And I'm sick of those. I'm so sick of those tire fumbling people. I'm sick of them.
So Mark, I heard a rumor about you talked about the Lions there. I had a rumor this week. I had a rumor that Goff is coming to the Steelers next year.
What do you
think about that? What do you think about
that? Who was that? Carson Palmer again?
No. What do you think about that?
Yeah, you know what? I don't get too involved in these rumors because we're talking about the Browns. The Browns are coming up. If Goff came over,
I was just trying to stir you up and trick you, and you've not bought into it. You've just not bought into it one way, shape, or form. I was thinking Halloween, trick or treat. I'm going to trick you.
No, he's not going to the Steelers.
Oh, I didn't hear the rumor. I just made it up.
But
it shows you, right? How easy is it for me to do that? How easy is it for Carson Palmer to get on and go, I've heard Mike Tomlin's mate, smoky for the USC job.
You're part of the problem then. This is going to go around now.
The fake media.
Breaking news. Jared Goff wants to go to the Steelers next year. And then Tomlin's going to address that next week.
He's like, this bloke from down under. Now, moving on. I want to move on to another part because it feeds into the fact that the Steelers have elevated Taco Charlton and Kevin Rader for this week's game. I tell you what, the funny thing about Taco Charlton, and it's out in the article, obviously on BehindTheSteelCurtain.com, your one-stop shop for all things Pittsburgh Steelers, is that Taco Charlton was picked 2 spots before TJ Watt. How funny is that?
Yeah, right.
But the reason he's been elevated, I want to talk about Melvin Ingram. What sense do you make of this Melvin Ingram issue this week?
It doesn't really bother me what's going on. If he gets traded, fair enough. If he doesn't, fair enough. I'm just more happy about the team being 3-3 and see what can happen from that. It's still a business. Yes, he comes to the Steelers and he knew, the contract details. You might go into more on that, but basically, from my view, if he wants to leave, fair enough. But if he doesn't get traded, he still needs to play. You still got to, go out there and be a Steel until you're not. So I just don't think it's that big a news, really. And I'm not going to start hating the guy because he wants to leave us. He might just want a better opportunity to get more playing time or more money, and we'd all think that. If the Browns podcast set me over $1 million a season, I might have changed my jersey. You know what I'm saying? Hey, it's $1 million a season, Matty. Can you imagine that? No, but
see, I would take it, right? But I'm appearing on 2 podcasts a season when you played the Steelers, and I'm going to give you hate.
Yeah, it's a non-talking point. I haven't even seen a video of Ingrid even talking about it yet. So it's all speculation. It's all this media speculation of and now you and I are gonna you're gonna fuel up Jared Goff going to the Steelers. That's the new one.
No, the one I actually see, I'm calling it here now. The one I actually see is if the Giants release Daniel Jones, I actually could see the Daniel Jones ending up in the Steelers, and I don't think that would be a bad thing, to be honest. But anyway, we'll leave that there. So look, we wanted to move on as well into Mark. Let's start talking about this Browns game. So we've got them this week. The undercooked Brownies that we talk about, and that's really being the fact that they've got some guys coming off injury. We know Chubb's playing, we know Baker's playing, which for a lot of Steeler fans, this could be a really good thing because Baker will try and push the ball. What do What are you looking out for when it comes to the offensive side of the football from both the Browns and the Steelers this week?
Do we want to start with the Browns or the Steelers?
Yeah, let's start with the Browns.
I think they're silly to start Baker. I don't care. He's got a hurt shoulder. I even saw the injury a few weeks ago. It looked bad. It looked really bad. And they've only rested him like 1 week, and now they're going to start him against the Steelers in an AFC North football matchup. I don't care who you are. I wouldn't even like Big Ben to play this game if he was injured like that. TJ off the edge and all the guys off the edge are really, there was another article out there in the universe was saying, okay, the Steeler players are grubs for hitting Baker late. They're going to try and injure him. He's already injured. Like, what do you want us to do to him? He comes off the edge. Like, he's going to get hit in this game. He will get hit. He will get tackled. He's going to get hurt. So it's a mistake for them playing Baker too soon, I think. They're a much better chance of Case Keenum being 100% against us than they are Baker.
Yeah. And I think from my side of things, it's David Njoku. He's actually starting to live up to a lot of the expectation. He's their leading receiver. And I think what's big for that is if you had, Case Keenum playing this week, you would probably see less of the ball going to Njoku. Case Keenum hasn't gone to him, whereas Baker has. He's been that safety valve for Baker, and like he's averaging like over 16 yards per reception. So for me, and we're going to talk about the defense, I think, how we mark up against their tight ends is going to be really important. But when you look at it as well, I think the Steelers need to be thinking really, really long and hard about how they're going to stop Njoku this week. And this is the problem because with how good the running game is, and we know Nick Chubb's in there this week, that opens up the play action pass. Often with play action, you're going to a tight end, when they can get open there or they can get a mismatch. So I think that's, again, going to be a really interesting sort of proposition for the Steelers this week. Not one that I don't think they've not thought about, obviously, particularly when you do see that he's leading there with the receiving yards. But now, and I know that you've criticized Odell on this podcast and live YouTube show a couple of weeks ago. But
I can do it again.
He and Landry are starting to get, a bit more into it now. So these are some of the things on offense, but I think it's less about Baker because I agree with you. This, he could be injured halfway through the game if he hits the deck the wrong way, right? So it's up to the guys catching the football. We know about Chubb, but I think to beat the Steelers this week with our defense, it's going to come down to who is going to make plays on the receiving side of the football for them.
Yeah, well, I can. You brought up Odell Beckham Jr. I just don't see anything in him anymore. I really, he's a one-hand catch in 2013. Yeah, he's okay. I think the Browns have a lot of pressure this week on them. I really do. Like, if they lose this game and go 3-4, our Super Bowl Browns, like this year, every single Brown fan was like, "Oh, they're going to win Super Bowl," but you got way too many injuries. How many injuries?
But as you say, they've dialed up the pressure, right? When we talked about this, I've talked about this before about, needing to dial up the pressure on people, right? And the Steelers do it really well with Lamar Jackson. If the Browns lose this week, then the saying comes back. The Browns is the Browns. Like, they have to win this week. They have the better team. They smashed us last year. They've gone on and on and on. They're playing at home. Baker's playing. Chubb's playing. They've not had a bye. The Steelers, lost 3 games straight. Like, the narrative, all the pressure is on the Browns, not the Steelers this week, and I love it.
Well, it's funny you say that because I actually looked up this morning from the 2000, right, 20 years ago. I could be one game off because the playoffs might have thrown me out when I was counting. The Steelers versus the Browns are 36-8. 36-8 in 20 years. So there's a lot of, I really need to get off these Facebook land comments or these YouTube, because another one I saw the other day was stop living in the past. One of the Browns fans told another Steelers fan, stop living in the past. And I'm like, you win one game. You haven't got anything. It's not living in the past. Like, we're just a better franchise. 36 games we have beaten,
which is almost 80% record.
Yeah, and that's including playoffs, right? So now, if the Browns beat us, well, you might have a little streak going on, but you haven't won. Big Ben is 24-2 and 1 draw. Like, he had that record for so many years. And I used to love that record. It was my second favorite record besides the Bengals playoff counter that they haven't made the playoffs. I think he was the most winningest quarterback in Browntown Stadium
Yeah.
until Baker won 14 games. I was like, how do you let that happen as a franchise that Big Ben has the most wins in your stadium? And even Big Ben came out and joked about that. Like, there are so many things of
Even
like
this
us.
week, he said, I'm glad I'm not the winningest quarterback in Cleveland.
I get this like idea, you know, we're a bit relaxed today because I think it's a big game for us, but still, these Browns are the Browns. They are, maybe Juju was right, and they got a sneaky win out of it. But Big Ben, how do you win 24 games against someone and only lose twice? Like, he's going to be ready for this game. Do you agree?
Yeah, but it goes back to what Brian was saying in the or Bad was saying in the preview this week. I don't want Ben to have to kill it lights out. I want Najee running it down the throat and putting him on the back foot, right? Like, and I want the defense, creating short fields for the offense. So, that's what's really important from my perspective, in getting this, getting this win this week. But let's move on to the Steelers to close out part one. The Clowns have been relevant since the 1950s. Too right, Snowman. Too right. What are you looking for from the Steelers on the offensive side of the football this week? Because I talked a little bit there about Najee Harris running through. For me, I'll just quickly say Freiermuth. Ebron's out. Get it to Freiermuth all day, put pressure on those, on the Browns defensive backs. That's all I need to say. Freiermuth. Pat, 88, move.
Well, I think you've pretty much covered that. No, you're exactly right. There's a blessing in disguise with Ebron being out this week. And Ebron's been playing okay, but now we've got Muth there. Do we want Muth to steal the show and get 2 touchdowns and go off? Yes, we do. It'd be it'd be great to see. It'd be good to see because we haven't played that style just yet to use him a lot in the passing game. Last week we did, or the week before we did. So using him would free up Najee a bit too. Getting, I think we have Gentry in there too. You said Radar's back in there too? Is Radar?
Yeah, Radar's been activated.
Hey. Radar was a pretty good blocking tight end. All these 3 blokes are really. They're pretty physical.
Actually, that's a good point though, Mark, because if you have Banner back this week, right, and you have Radar as well.
Just like a full line of like 4 blokes just like just pushing down eight Browns down the field. Yeah, this
could be fun.
I think Muth has surprised us a bit, or surprised me. I don't know too much about him, but his blocking was pretty good. Even for that DJ run, he blocked really well.
Well, so this is a funny thing, right? So I got PFF this week. There's a 50% off deal, so I bought it, right? And I need it for the college stats for Steelers War Room, which goes live for the BTSC family on a Thursday afternoon. But I need it for that. So I got the NFL package too. But it was interesting to look in that and find out that Pat basically had a run blocking score so far of through the last week of 50-51, it was the rating. Now, I don't necessarily love PFF scores or anything like it. I take issue with them, but you don't really see too many blocking scores anywhere else. And I just sort of thought, geez, 51 for a run blocking score. I think he's done a bit better than that. So I'm just interested to see, Pat continue to develop that part of his game.
Well, go look back at that run from DJ when they were a bit stuck in the running game, and then we used that play to get out of that rut. Freiermuth on the back end really turned that block around, and he got DJ about 20 yards. So if they're going to use Gentry and Radar, and if Radar is going to be part of the game, Radar was more a blocking guy that I saw in preseason from this season and last season. Yeah, not a fantastic catcher or like a great player, but if their scheme this week is to run it down the Browns' throat and take care of the football, then Najee will have a game, and hopefully he's got more time to get to have some space as well.
The other one that I think about that could be interesting this week is James Washington, right? He's just slipped off the radar, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Right? I'm not trying to be a pun there with Kevin Radar, but I'm honestly, quite seriously, he has just slipped off the radar. But he blocks really well. Remember that block that he did last year against Cincinnati? I think that was for Chuju maybe or Connor off their
remember.
run. But he had that block where he like basically pancaked a guy. Like I just think this is the sort of game where, you know, he's the sort of guy that you're not thinking about, and suddenly he does something massive. He has a connection with Ben too. So, you know, you don't know what's going to happen in these sorts of weeks. But look, we've got a bumper part 2 coming. So I want to let's call our break here. Let's call our halftime end of part 1 on Steelers touch down under. If you're on the audio side, flick over to part 2. So if you're listening on Spotify, iTunes, Pandora, Stitcher, whatever that is, if you're listening live on the YouTube side right now, just hold on. Marky D will be right back in, and we'll kick off part 2. Then we're back on Steelers touch down under. I'm Matt Peverell, joined by my co-host as always, Marky Davison. Marky D, we talked about the offense. In part 2, we're going to talk about the defense. We're going to do Q&A as always, so everyone get your questions ready. It's been a bit light on questions the last 2 weeks, so really want everyone to throw them at us. But before we do so, I thought we'd kick off slinging the slang, which, Mark, just as Big Ben likes to sling the rock, we like to sling the slang. A bit of a tongue twister for me today. Do you have anything for the listeners this week, or should I kick it off?
Yeah, you know what? So I had to make a special mention this week, and I've chosen nothing on purpose because I wanted to learn some slang this week, and we've already brought him up. We've already brought up our mate Mike Tomlin, but I'm going to start saying this and make this Australian slang. Never say never, but never. I had to bring him up in sling the slang. I love it. So I haven't got any Australian slang, but that to me was just amazing. I know we talked about it, but that confidence going to this Browns game, using that slang, using that quote is so good. Because that saying is like, you know, never say never. It always looks to look like, you know, you might do it in the future. And then his ending part is just, but never. Like, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to be a coach for the college. I loved it. I think we need to start using that in Australia. I don't know how you would turn that into Australian slang, but I had to give Mike Tomlin his own spot this week.
Never say never, but we're never going to call it an actual shrimp on the barbie. It's a prawn.
Yeah, I don't know where the shrimp. I don't know. I don't know. Still have no idea where.
It's actually though, never say never, but never is like almost like you call that a knife. This is a knife. It's actually technically the same.
It's very similar to like yeah, but nah. Like the same similar thing we have in Australia. Like yeah, nah, I'm all right. Like, do you want to go for a run?
Or
nah.
Or nothing.
Yeah. And these slangs, you and I could have a whole conversation using mates and yeah, but nahs, and I think we'd get somewhere. A lot of listeners wouldn't really understand what we're saying, but
mate, yeah, but nah.
Yeah, nah, she'd be right, mate. Like, here we go. Okay, we've got to stop because we're losing listeners. I just had
we dropped 3 off the line. We're off 3 right now.
I had to give a shout out to Tomlin. Never say never.
Another one.
but never. There we go. What's yours this week?
So I got 2. Okay, the first one I'm just going to quickly cover off, and I don't know how it came up this week. Yes, I do actually. When I was doing Steelers War Room, I'd put some notes down, and I was struggling to read my own writing, and I have very messy writing, like terribly messy writing. And I was thinking about it, and we've got a couple of teachers as part of the BTSC crew. Like Dave was a teacher, Jeff is a teacher, and what have you. So I had KT Smith's a teacher as well. You know, Bad does, his scout groups. And anyway, I was just thinking about it. Mark, at your school, did you have a pen license when you were in year 3 or year 4?
Yeah.
When you got your pen license? So you had to get, to listeners out there, you had to do a certain level of like running writing or cursive writing, and you had to do it a certain amount of neatly before they allowed you to go from a pencil to a pen. I think it was year 3 that they generally did it.
Well, actually,
so I was thinking, did you get your pen license?
Yeah, I've got a story about this. So I got my pen license, but it took me one go. So I failed the first time back in year 3, and then a few weeks later I got it. But I should never have got it. I need to go back and get it because my writing is absolutely terrible. You think yours is bad? My writing is just worthless. And then during another stage as well, I had I had to pay again for the license because in year 5, the teacher in year 5 said, we understand you've got your license to write, which is like crazy. Teacher, leave me alone. Don't tell me what to do. I'll use whatever I damn want. But basically, he gave me this like book, right? And this is probably why my writing is so terrible. I remember it as soon as you bring it up. He gave me this like writing book to like fill out to a workshop like booklet, and I just threw it away. I just didn't even look at it. I just went, I'm not doing this, and I just threw it away. But now my writing is like, you don't even want to look at it. It's terrible. Like sometimes I'm like you, I will write something and I go, what's that word? And then you got to try and figure out what you said in the past. But that's so funny you brought that up. I don't know. Do our American listeners have pen licenses?
I don't know. I don't know whether you get them, but I never got one. Right. So I got to the end of term 3 because we have 4 terms, right? So it's getting like halfway through semester 2 in the US, this sort of system. And they basically just stopped giving them out to anyone that hadn't got one yet. And then you just had to use a pen the next year. And so like I've been like illegally using a pen according to the school system. I've never got it. And it was funny because I was talking about it with my fiance yesterday. And I said, I'm going to talk about this on Touchdown Under tomorrow. I'm like, did you get yours? And she was like, yeah, I got it. Like, but everyone thought my writing was really small. And I'm like, yeah, but I feel like, people had an advantage against that. But anyway, I just sort of thought it was really funny because I'm like, is that just a silly thing that we have in Australia? And I think Owen says they have it in England as well, which is why we probably have it here. I don't know. It just sort of was.
Why don't we start off using the pen as well? Like, it's probably easier to write in pen than it is pencil.
You can't rub it out. That's why.
Okay.
Well, actually, you can't erase it out.
Oh, yeah, erasers. Yeah, we call that.
So we call them rubbers, erasers.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge. We can say that. So yeah, we call erasers rubbers. You guys figure that one out. That's funny, man. That's really funny, eh? Holy dooly.
And then so the second slinging the slang thing, which Mark, I don't want you to get too upset about this, okay? Because I got a bit upset about this. So I opened up my emails this morning. I was get all these highlights overnight from all the different American sport leagues and what have you. So just checking, any breaking news that we might have to cover. And I got an email from the Australian Travel Immigration, Department. And it told me that my ETSA was expiring. And it made me feel really sad. So for all the listeners out there, the ETSA is the special document or security clearance, basically, that Australians have to do to go into the States. So they're about $25 or something, Aussie, and you pay them, and then it gives you 2 years once you've completed that process where you can enter the United States as many times as you like. There's a fixed period. I think you can only stay for 3 to 6 months unless you do a special ETSA or something like that. But it'll last 2 years. And so usually you get one, and then, it's been the case for the last decade that I've only I've been able to make multiple trips every ETSA that I've had. And this time, the last trip, which was when I went to the Bills game, 2019, that was the last time I've ever been able to go to the States because of COVID. And it just I don't know, it got me a little bit upset. I was just like, oh, I can't believe another ETSA is expiring, and I don't know when I'm going to be filling out another one.
You should do what I'm doing, Matty. I actually, not to give too much away, and it's going to be a long shot like winning lotto, but I applied for the green card lottery system. So if I get chosen next year, have you?
Yeah.
Did you get a ticket?
No.
Well, if I get chosen, look out, America. I'm coming over.
Look out
for life.
You'd be like Colin Frizzle from Love Actually.
Look, we're Australians, but we love America. It's so much fun going over there and having the best time, and I just love how it's so diverse from the Never Eat Soggy Wheat Bix, the West Coast to the East Coast. And going to the games is so much fun as well.
Should quickly. Oh no, you've talked about Never Eat Soggy Wheat Bix before, but look, let's move on to the defense. So, Mark, what are you looking for? On the Steelers side, on the Browns side, what needs to happen on defense this week?
Well, okay. Who do you think's going to cover up the tight ends, like you said? Is it going to be Trey Nord and guys like that, or Cameron Sutton?
Yeah, but I also think this boy, the jersey I'm wearing today, Devin Bush, he needs a big game this week. And he and Schobert have got to figure this thing out. who's marking up on who's going after the run with Chubb. Are you mixing it up? Are you giving the Browns different looks? Because I don't think you can basically say to Devin, you're doing this all day, show that you're doing that all day. I don't think that's going to work, right? They need to be varying it up and trying to trick Baker Mayfield. But, when it comes to defensive backs, I think Terrell Edmonds is going to have a massive game, because if he can shut down Njoku as well, that's going to make a massive difference. But again, the challenge there for the Steelers is, how are you going to stop the run when you're committing Edmonds, to stopping, someone like Njoku? So do they work? How do they work in? Do they activate Karl Joseph for this game? This is the perfect game, I think, for Karl Joseph to play, right? So, we know that Mike Tomlin's coveted him for a while. He went back to the Raiders. He got released. He's with the Steelers on the practice squad. If there's a game to play him, for me, it's this week. I mean, I do actually think when we play the Titans, it'll be important for him to play too. But this is the first game that I'm really like, Karl Joseph should be on that field.
What are your thoughts about Arthur Millette playing as well? I think he's one of the most exciting players. Some of his play, but mostly I just like the way that, we talk about passion in the team. Like every time a big play happens, he's on the sidelines cheering. And I think because he came from the Jets, he's like, I need to fit in this team. I need to like do some things. I need to start getting everyone pumped up.
I need to show that I want it.
Yeah. But I can see him like having a game or like playing. He's playing pretty good football, Arthur Millette. Those kind of like string guys are doing good or just enough to where, and like Trey Norwood's playing outstanding where he's getting the Steelers off the third down and then pass breakups. And we talked about the tackle on Metcalf. Like, I think those kind of guys in this game are going to be fired up. And there's like a question was asked to Tomlin this week too, saying, is it a revenge game about, the last year? And he said, well, basically half the team's new, like half the team wasn't there, with the rookies and guys coming in. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the only thing I don't want them to do is one guy to burn us, like Landry or Chubb getting too many yards and just keep getting burnt on us. Like,
I think maybe you can limit it though. Like Landry if he gets in open space. I mean, that run last year in the playoff game with Mike Hilton and then ended up being Minka at the end of that. Like that was diabolical, right? Like Landry is going to burn someone if he gets in open space, but I think you got to limit the burns, right? You got to do it once.
Hopefully. And what about Minka? Like we haven't talked about. I brought him up as my MVP, and he's playing good football, but like he's leading tackles. But can we get that interception? Is the pressure for that interception that is going to be there?
Maybe it's Hayden. Like though, remember Hayden against the Browns last year? I
True.
don't know.
And hey, look, if we get
maybe Norwood finally gets his hands on the pill, maybe finally gets hold of it.
He's getting so close. But I think in this game, if we get the 1 turnover or 2 turnover, the game will be in our favor and we should win that game because it's going to be a short field. You even saw it in the Seahawks game when that our mate Michael Dixon punted the ball, shafted it to the right. We went to the field at the 50, went down and scored. So if we get a short field, and we're not getting the short field just yet, and it's slowly coming, but I think this team needs to get some more interceptions, and I think it is coming with the pressure.
Would you prefer Dixon over Big Press?
No, I wouldn't. I like Big Press. I like what he's doing. I think he played really well last 2 weeks ago against the Seahawks.
I think Dixon's a top punter, man.
Yeah, he's got a good leg and all that, but
I love Big Press. I'm just saying, like if you're making your own team fantasy style, I'm picking Dixon.
Yeah, I don't know.
This isn't a punting podcast. Sometimes it's a pizza podcast, but it's never a punting podcast.
Oh man, they were the days, weren't they, having the pizza podcast?
I feel like I've got maybe I'm like bad. Maybe I've got I'm not saying this jokingly. Maybe I've got adult ADHD. I keep saying random stuff.
It's probably the coffee because when we guys do our podcast now, it's 9:30 a.m. In Australia, so we probably a bit fired up. I don't know.
I struggle to concentrate.
Well, to me, it's just the coffee I had, and then I actually slept in this morning.
I know. It's why we're late on air, all the listeners.
Yeah, sorry, guys. But back to your question. The defense, I think there needs to be a turnover. There has to be some sort of a turnover, and I think this is the game for Minka.
Yeah.
This is the game for Joe Hayden. There is something there. If Baker is hurt, and we all know that he's hurt, once he gets a bit of pressure, and TJ is becoming like he's getting towards that 100% stage. He's getting really in the backfield. Highsmith is becoming he's too.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like TJ and Hayward have to continue to step up. Like we know that's going to carry the Steelers to wins. It has through the season so far, particularly with Snowman points out the front seven have to step up without Alualu out, without Tuitt out, which we put in the description of this show. It's massive. Hayward and TJ are givens. But Highsmith's the one to watch here, particularly with his run defense this year, which was the big question mark going into year 2. Against Chubb, who's been injured, against that offensive line as well. If you're going to have this pressure like a pincer, like a vice grip, strangle holding their backfield. Oh, the Steelers could unleash hell here. Which Owen David said, unleash hell in the live chat is literally as I said it.
I've got a question for you, Matty. A real simple question. Is our defense better than their offense?
Oh, okay. On paper, no. When you compare it, because of the defensive line versus the offensive line. But practically, and also when you on paper, right, for the average NFL fan out there, you look at who can catch the football from the Browns, like across the tight ends and the wide receivers and the names there, versus the Steelers' defensive backs. But in playing and coaching and what have you, geez. Yeah, you'd have to. I give it to the Steelers purely because the Steelers have more playmakers on defense in the key spots than what the Browns have, right? Like Odell on his day can do something, not every day. Landry on his day can do something. Chubb on most days can do something. Njoku on his day, like he has twice this season, had massive games because of his 284 yards, he had 130-yard game and he had 176-yard game, right? So it's been 2 games where he's done the majority of that stuff. But Minka can do anything anytime, right? Hayden can do anything anytime. Terrell is showing that he can do stuff. TJ can do anything any game. Hayward can do anything any game, right? And Highsmith can do, pull out plays every game too. So, and then you throw in Devin Bush and Shobit getting together, more, having a bye week to put things together. Shobit can literally have spent a whole week dedicated to the playbook. Yeah, things are starting to roll. And, and this is the big shame about this week with all the stuff with Ingram. I actually think this week out of all weeks would have been a really helpful week to have had Ingram, right? So if he's missing this game because of stuff going on up here, I'm actually really disappointed because this was the week I actually think he could have shown a stack of value for the Steelers.
Well, I even think too that so Schobert and Bush, if you were to say like what were the holes in the defense, they might be the missing link where the offense can take advantage of them. And like Alualu being out, and who's in Alualu's role? Is it?
You've got Bugs. I don't think Worley needs to be doing a lot, but Tomlin's called Bugs out and said like we're looking for more from Bugs, right? Like Loudermilk step up this week?
Yeah,
like.
But you had Bugs make that big tackle in the first quarter, and then he went missing for the rest of the game. So I just think if the run defense can really start to not let Chubb get 10 yards, 11 yards, like that's just terrible. Mm-hmm. I don't think this offense can beat us with the TJ Highsmith combo, with our addition with Trey Norwood and Cameron Sutton playing really good, and if Joe Hayden goes off, there's potentials for Joe Hayden and Minka to go off because they can go off at any time. But the emergence of like Trey Norwood is really key as well. If he's a factor in this defense.
But the thing for me, like, I don't mean to cut you off there, like, it's not fair to expect Norwood to have to, and people, okay. So what I'm going to say is it's not fair for Norwood to expect Norwood to have to make plays. Yes, it's fair to expect every Steeler to make plays. I'm not giving him an out, but I'm just saying this is the sort of game and the gravity of what's happening in this game, against needing to get, another AFC North win. You've had the loss. You need the other guys to step up. Is
this our best matchup game? Like we're trying to, really get the right corner on the right guy for Odell Beckham Jr. and the right guy, maybe Cameron Sutton on Landry, or who's going to cover? Like this feels to me like it's like they know us and we know them kind of mentality. Like
I don't know. Like I still think that Titans game, now that the Titans are coming back, I think that's I think that's the biggest, best matchup game. But this would be pretty close. I mean, that's an interesting point that you make there.
Well, because it's like you just said with the offense, and you said, well, they've got these key players and they need to get involved, and the football's going to go that way. So would you more or less scheme that way to Njoku or scheme that way to Chubb? Or
the problem is this is where the Browns become a really good team, because as soon as you start scheming to one guy, no, but it's true. It's true. This is why they're built. Apart from Baker, right? If they had a few of the other quarterbacks around the league, they would be a much better team, right?
Imagine if they had Joey Burrow in the Browns. That'd be pretty good. Or the Bengals are pretty good now, but that would be like unreal to watch. Because the Browns are.
I think that Bengals. To me, the biggest surprise about the Bengals, and we'll say it for Bengals week next time it comes up, but like in a couple of weeks, but. I can't believe their O-line is giving him that much time to throw. And it frustrates me, right? Because it's come up before on other BTSC podcasts, like with maybe it's questions that Jeff's had with Mailbag, but it's basically like, how can you watch other teams with average O-lines and they've got all the time in the world to throw, and then against Big Ben, he's never got any time to throw. And I sit there and I think the same thing every time I watch the Bengals, and then I think about Steelers O-line. I'm like, how does Burrow have that much time to throw and Ben's got like 2.6 seconds max? Like, I don't know, it frustrates me, but we'll see what happens there.
It could be the defense scheming differently as well.
100%. There are so many different things that come into it. It does sometimes, as a Steelers fan, you sit there and like, come on, man. But look, before we invite everyone to ask us some questions. We love the Q&A. But Mark, you got any more questions for me before we get into some of the audience Q&A?
Are we doing our predictions this week?
Oh, we've got a bold predictions, of course. That's a good question. What's your bold prediction?
Well, I was just going to say, I was going to ask you, like honestly, this is the question I think we all need. It's coming tomorrow, right? And are we going to win tomorrow? Like, that's really short and simple, but are we going to win this game? And then I'll do mine after.
The game's going to be a separation of like within 5, like, I know this is a hard thing. My gut says it's 3 points. I've put 6 points difference in the BTSC predictions. Yeah, I think we win this, but we don't win it because we play well offensively. Like we do just enough offensively. Like I still think Najee will have a great game. I've been saying it for weeks now. The defense is going to get a score. The defense is going to get a score. But either the defense is going to rob Mayfield of the ball enough times that they're not going to be able to catch whatever the Steelers put on the board, or they're going to be able to get scores, things like strip sacks, fumble recoveries for scores, that sort of stuff, or for big gains and short fields. The defense is going to win this game. It's not the offense.
I'm going to go out on a limb here, and it just came to me from the divine powers above. This is a good one. And this, if you guys got any
see all that light behind Mark, everyone? That's the angel shining from heaven.
I was going through the motions in my cranium here. Devin Bush gets an interception in the third quarter off a play action pass from Baker.
For a touchdown?
Nah, I'm not that crazy, mate. No. Devin Bush gets an interception, and I'll tell you how he's going to do it. Devin Bush has been scheming this team all week with how Baker plays. He's gonna fake pass or play action pass to Chubb. Baker's going to be down by a few points, like maybe up 4 or 7 points, something like that in the third quarter. Try and get back into the game. He's at the 25-yard line or about 30-yard line. Try and extend it. Maybe it's 2nd and 10. Well, no, sorry, 2nd and 7. So you think it's going to be a run. Devin Bush knows this.
Sure, not like a 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9.
We'll go 2nd and 7. This is how particularly I want to get with
all
it.
right, okay, sorry.
So then
I'm not the one that's received the divine message.
Exactly. Devin Bush. That's our new segment. Devin Bush knows this, right? He's gonna drop back when he's on the left hash mark. Sherbert's gonna blitz for once. Devin Bush is gonna go back, and as he's going back, Landry's gonna go across the middle, like that Y route where it goes like around a corner, I don't know how to route it is. But he's gonna go across the middle, and Devin Bush is gonna get a pick. Right there.
Love it.
Is that enough detail? If I get that, I deserve a free jersey from everyone or something.
Mate,
so
if you
third
don't
quarter,
put money on that yourself, you got a problem.
Third quarter, Devin Bush picked off at the 30-yard line, 2nd and 7. Called it here from the divine powers above.
And how funny it will be if he does it in the second quarter when it's 3rd and 7.
Yeah, I got the wrong message.
Yeah, the divine angels didn't get their pen license.
They're playing a joke on me. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they read it. I can't even. It might happen. What's yours? What do you reckon is going to happen this week? Is it that?
Well, you asked me whether the Steelers are going to win. Look, I think I told you. I think the defense needs to shut them down. I think if Karl Joseph plays, I hope he's not injured. I'm pretty sure he's not injured. Like otherwise, I'm looking like an absolute idiot right now. I think Pat will make a massive, drive-saving 3rd down catch. I think that's in there. But if Karl Joseph plays, I could see him making a play that, again, it just absolutely, keeps the Steelers in this game. I just think he works that well in this defense in a game like this week's.
That would be his first game, right? And he's also for
the Steelers, yeah.
He's ex-Brown, wasn't he?
He played for the Browns. He was drafted by the Raiders, though. But yeah, he played for the Browns last year. Yeah.
It'd be good to see. I think we have a really good chance. I think there's a lot more pressure on Baker because Baker's forcing himself to come out and play this game, which is really silly. Just take the game off, mate. Get healthy, then start playing again. Like that's what I would do. If I'm not too sure if it's the coach's decision or if it's Baker's to go out there. But Baker's about 70%, and the way he injured that shoulder on his left-hand side is going to affect so many things. It's going to affect the way he hands off the ball. It's going to affect in the huddle. He's going to be hurting. And once he gets hit 2 or 3 times, he'll be like, oh, why am I playing, And then he'll start to force the ball because he'll try and be a hero, and that's when we get our picks.
So we don't have any Q&A from the audience this week. I'm shocked. We usually got heaps of Q&A.
Yeah, I guess.
But Mark, I'm going to ask you then, how did you use the bye week?
I've just been chilling out. I watched the Bengals versus Ravens game. Was it Bengals versus Ravens?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was interesting.
I was so happy. I tipped that game. I tipped the Bengals that game.
Yeah, you have to. You had to go the Bengals because you want the Ravens to come down a notch. And our mate Aaron is not in the chat anymore because they're 5-2. But look, the Bengals are a good.
Because I kept blocking him.
Yeah, that makes sense. The Bengals are a good football team. We got to put it out there. It was a really good game between those two, and you wanted them to both, smash each other. And even so, I know the Jets won't win this week, but it would be nice to see them win if they did beat the Bengals somehow. I'm not going to use my powers for that one, but if they did beat the Bengals there, then that would be great for us. Nothing better than to see the Jets win, Steelers win, and then we're climbing that table.
Jets aren't not without Zach Wilson. Come on, man!
But they beat the Titans the other day, so that was
You just know that kicked me out of the Survivor League.
I think it did for a few people too. I think a high majority.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're going to win, but it would work out for us. And the Ravens have a bye this week, and if the Jets win, Steelers win, nothing better because all we're doing is climbing the ladder. Bengals will be 5-3, and I think the wild card is sitting there for us if we keep continuing to play. But the North is still in total too. The North is just there.
So Mark, Owen David asks, out of Benny Snell, Ant Mac, Balaj, who doesn't get a helmet? He wants it not to be the hopeless Benny Snell. Like, I don't know. For me, I agree with what the guys were saying on the preview. Like, Benny Snell, unfortunately, plays special teams. So for me, I think it's Balaj, assuming Ant-Mac's been activated. But I actually haven't seen that yet.
No, I agree with that. I think Snell is playing special teams, so he'll even though he hurt his arm. But out of those 3 players, Ant-Mac, Snell, and Balaj, I
think Ant-Mac's able to play.
I don't think Balaj will get a helmet if that's the case. I think you have the 3 backs being Snell and McFarlane. And this is a game too. If Benny Snell wants to play Benny Snell football, what better game to verse the Browns?
What is Benny Snell football?
Well, he talks about it so much. He talks about it running the ball hard and then getting touchdowns and getting.
I tell you what he's got to do. He's got to get rid of that. He's got the mouthpiece on his helmet. It's got a little windmill turbo on it. I think it slows him down. It's like air resistance.
I knew you were going to say that.
Gentry with the posts.
We wish him luck. We just want him to get better. I just want to see.
I'm done wishing him luck. Bring on McFarlane. And with
I
that,
know.
Michael O'Malley says, "Do you see McFarlane making an impact this week?" I don't know, Mark, about you. For me, I do, but I don't think it's going to be in the run game. I think it's going to be in the short passing game, to be honest, or screen passing game.
If McFarlane plays, he'll play about 10 to 15 snaps, and hopefully some of those are third downs and key downs. He needs to be a threat in the backfield as well to help out Najee. But I think you might even see the three backs as well. You might get Snell in there a little bit because McFarlane's a different kind of back. He's like a scat back. So Najee will hopefully go off behind this O-line and then using McFarlane trick plays. And we need a bit of spark. Like we talk about it every single week since you and I have been doing this podcast. Can we just win a game by 21 points? Can we win a game by...
I want to win a game by 50 points. I want to rack up a score. I know people go, that's Wayne Harb's territory, but I do. I just want the Steelers to put a statement out there.
They haven't done that in so many years, right? It's been a long time since we've won a game without sweating or having almost a heart attack. We just need to win this game. You know, like I said, when Devin Bush picks that interception off in the third quarter, we go up like 14 points.
Do you think they'll bring someone off the practice squad that haven't played for them yet this season? Yeah, for me, it's Karl Joseph. I think you should. Honestly, I think you should be playing this week. And technically, they've done that with Raider. I don't think Raider's played.
Yeah, I was going to say, wouldn't Raider be the same ideal?
Yeah, Taco Charlton too, but Taco came in after the season started, I think. So
even to a certain point, wasn't Cody White off the practice squad too? And he's been used quite a little bit. I'm not too sure what he's going to do in this role, but he could be a fifth receiver or fourth receiver, depending how it all works out.
Yeah.
You know?
Snowman says, where are you watching the game and what jersey are you wearing?
For me, I wear the whole season. I'm committed to wear 43 every single game. If you can see that, 43 every single game. And for me at home, it's our 4 a.m. Matty this week.
Yeah. So for me, that means I'm wearing the Lucky Juju t-shirt that I have, the player jersey t-shirt.
Why are you wearing Juju this week?
Because I have a Lucky Juju, my Lucky Steelers shirt that I sleep in the night before when it's a 4 a.m. or 3 a.m. game is a Juju shirt. And when I don't wear it, right, when I say it's lucky, it has an 80% win record. And this season, the 2 games I didn't wear it were the 2 games the Steelers lost by the most. So
really?
Yep.
There you go. I'm pretty similar because when I didn't wear, I think it was during the Bengals game, I didn't have the 43 on at the start, you know, and then I put it on the second quarter and then we still lost. So
do you know I used to have a rule for the Australian Rugby Union with the Wallabies, right? I wouldn't put the jersey on until they scored a try because they lost a certain number of games in a row, right? And that we're going through a bad patch. So I'm like, stuff this. This team doesn't deserve me to wear the jersey until they prove themselves. And then it started working. It was really good.
I could just imagine like one of the players hearing that and they're like, wait, he doesn't wear. Who cares?
You know? I went to school. A couple of guys I went to school with play for the Wallabies right now. So
yeah, right.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm sure they don't care. Michael O'Malley says split back 2 smash mouse football. Maybe Kevin Raider, Gentry as well. Like Freemuth.
What's the old this is one of the Steelers
Claypool off a sweep. Like you got to think Claypool's like a wide receiver tight end, like hybrid.
Do you know there was back in the I think 70s or 60s, there was the old adage of like this one player, I can't remember his name, but the quote was, "Hey diddle diddle, hey diddle diddle riddle up the middle" or something. Like there was a certain Steeler bloke. They ran this play after I really duffed it, but basically they ran this play from this player. And every team knew on the first possession of the Steelers drive, they would run the fullback up the middle. I have to look it up, guys. I'm sorry, I forgot who the player was, but they knew who. You know the old riddle, "Hey diddle diddle, fiddle up the middle." That was him, but the same name.
The fiddle. The little dog laughed to see such sport, and the dish ran away with the spoon. Isn't that the nursery rhyme?
Next week I'll be more prepared. I'll look up that quote. But basically, they had this Steeler player and they ran up the middle every single time for the very first play. It was like back in the 70s. So key point is don't bring something up you half know.
Oh, that's great. We'll close it out. Snowman's going to Buffalo Wild Wings.
What?
Oh, I love Buffalo. So, I've been thinking about this. I was talking to my fiance about this recently about opening up Buffalo Wild Wings in Australia. Like, I would so do that. I reckon that would be fantastic. Do you, mate, I reckon that would go down like an absolute treat down here.
We
and Mark, you can open my Central Coast store.
We haven't got wing. We don't do wings in Australia. Let's put it out there. No. Listen to me.
You might not have them on the coast. We have a lot of American like barbecue.
Nah, not exactly. Not the same the way America does it. I went
not the same, but I'm just I don't know what you got going up.
Like I went to a bar in America where I could choose 99 flavors, and I didn't want 99 flavors. I only wanted 3 of them, but it was still just so amazing to have that choice to choose 99 flavors. We don't do it exactly.
Sorry, no. I keep cutting you off.
I'm just saying we don't do exactly the same. Where you go to you buy wings for like $7.99, you get a free beer, and you get like unlimited wings. In Australia, we get given like 6 wings, and we charge like $20.
Actually, I gotta say, if you're ever stuck in San Diego, and San Diego is a beautiful city, I'm getting stuck there. But if you're in San Diego and you want to watch a Steelers game, go to the Saints home bar. There's an American barbecue joint in San Diego. That's where we watched the Steelers versus Arizona in 2019. That was beautiful. But Snowman, I wanted to close it out with his question. And also I want to say thanks, Trey Smith. Great to have you listening to the show. But Snowman says, are you surprised they released Jalen Samuel? And I know that you put up the post about this and you said, is he going to retire? But I know the Texans worked him out. But Mark, were you surprised about this one?
Not overly, but can I just do a detour? Because I actually found the quote that I was trying to look for with "Hey diddle diddle." Is that all right? And then I might answer your question.
Go.
So back in the 1950s, this is what I was trying to bring up the story about this. In the 1950s, with the Steelers, number 8th round pick, Fran Rogel was for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they had a saying: "Hey diddle diddle, Rogel up the middle." All right, that's clarified now. Look, Samuels, I just think he's another guy on the team. There was just no room for him, really. What else can you say? How many running backs do we have in this team?
Well, yeah, I mean that's it. Like it's you've activated enough guys, and it's hogging a practice squad spot that we need, and we're gonna have to use it again. If Tuitt comes back, so we've seen enough of him too. We know he's not making the difference.
Well, he played well for us for in the Steelers, but maybe it was just his time. We've got Najee there now. We've got Snell, who's somehow hanging around. Ant Max there. There's just not enough room in that running boot. I can't speak today. Running back squad.
That's it. Well, with that closes out this week's Steelers Touch Down Under. I'm Matty Peverell with Marky Davison. And as always, Mark,
go Steelers.